Hello everybody, and welcome to an autumn voyage through Canoeing with the Seasons. I'm Jillian-Rae Picco, the author of Canoeing with the Seasons, and today I'm here to share with you the autumn chapters from this book. Canoeing with the Seasons is a metaphorical book. It's a metaphor for knowing how to move through life's changes and adapt to them as the seasons change over time. This book was inspired by many adventures that I've been lucky to have here in beautiful Northern Ontario. I've been lucky to work with the team at Thrive and go on many canoe trips where just the beauty of nature and the simplicity and the peace and harmony that I found in these environments has really resonated with me on my own spiritual and I would say coming of age journey as well. This book was an anchor in my life. When I was writing it, I was also going through a time of change. And I think that writing this book helped me to connect to my own soul and also to think about how readers might resonate with the things that I've learned. Canoeing with the Seasons is not necessarily a book that you pick up and read for entertainment's sake. A lot of readers have suggested to me that it's really gotten their minds thinking and their imaginations whirling, and it's really challenged them to look a little bit deeper within themselves. The metaphors in this book offer a lot of room for resonance, so no matter where you come from, you're going to find yourself feeling different things when looking at the metaphors within this book. So today I'm going to be walking you through the autumn chapters within Canoeing with the Seasons. We're going to go for a lovely hike here in beautiful Northern Ontario and discuss all of the chapters. So follow me for an autumn voyage. Nurture. We can stir an inner stew from what we have harvested through the year and nourish our lives in times of change so that, even in the uncontrollable moments of life, we know we created the care that we needed and that it filled us. Nurture. It's a chapter about understanding how to turn inward to give yourself the nourishment that you need in times of change. Autumn is a time where you really see the transition from one season to another beginning to happen. And it looks so beautiful, it's so stunning, but it lasts for such a short period of time. And then there's this sudden death of winter. And so autumn is a time of really preparing ourselves for the change that is to come. It's a time of letting the dead things go. It's a time of, as I like to think of it, falling with the leaves in a sense. Recognize what it is in your life that it's time to let go of so that you can really give yourself more comfort and more self-love in the changes that are to come. Nurturing ourselves, although we can look for external things to fill us, it's about turning inward again. Notice what you've gathered throughout the entire year and how far you've come already. As the quote goes, it's almost like we have all these ingredients for this sort of inner stew. And you think of a stew and it's something that it's actually really good for your body and really is healthy for you. So why not think about all of these ingredients in your life that are really good things to surround yourself with and how you can continue giving yourself those or release some of the dead, stagnant things in your life and welcome more of those good things in. Odd. In seasons of change, the world can feel strange. When going through your journey, you might feel an odd distance from it. It's often in times of change where strangers and strange moments appear, and at first we might just wish to stay in our canoes, the mode of travel that we have become used to. We might tell ourselves that watching change unfold around us is enough to handle. We are comfortable where we are, observing rather than partaking in what calls us. Life is not linear. It's a little bit odd and strange sometimes. The twists and turns that happen, sometimes you honestly could never have expected them. These twists and turns can feel really intense sometimes if we're feeling resistant to change. And again, Canoeing with the Seasons in the autumn of our lives is all about embracing that change. So I think that in the autumn of our lives, there's often so many new perspectives that we're called to open ourselves to. Although in the face of change, we can want to recoil from it, kind of just noticing, hey, life is a little bit odd and strange, and I could have never expected this. can really help open you to all of the new possibilities that there are. The reason that we can feel so resistant to change is because we fear the unknown. The unknown is that unexpected, that strange part that kind of makes us turn away from these things. But just remembering that the unknown is actually your friend, and the autumn of your life is your friend. Remember, it's about letting those dead things go, and even though you never could have expected some things to happen, it's all a part of your journey. It's all going to make sense. So embrace the unknown and welcome it, and gently challenge yourself to do so, even if it feels a little bit strange. Patience. Sometimes when our minds wander, they unintentionally make the presence of even the most vivid sceneries a background, and we ironically wonder where the good in the moment exists. Patience requires us to step out of the everyday, the norm, what we're typically used to, and often the circumstances that we're handed to immediately. In the modern world, we all work in very busy places most of the time, and we get so caught up in the hustle and bustle of life that we sometimes can become very impatient. You might notice this in yourself if you're starting to feel very on edge, or like you're not having as much empathy for others or even for yourself. You might find that you want to rush through your journey and get to the end point. However, it's so important and so good for your spirit to recognize that patience is about slowing down. It's about removing yourself from the noise. Being patient is about reminding yourself that when you're going so fast, you're actually missing out on all of the good that's in front of you. That's why it's an act of self-love to slow down and recognize that giving yourself the time and space that you need is going to help you to be present with everything that's already here. When we're impatient, we often fail to see the good that's happening in front of us and the opportunities that there are for great things to happen. So in the autumn of your life, as you transition into change, making some room in your life to have a bit more patience is really going to allow you to nurture yourself and foster that inner connection. Quietness. To see our surroundings for more than their surfaces in a more meaningful light means that we have to pay attention. In the patience that it takes to pay attention, we inevitably become quiet and still. I often like to think of patience and quietness as being very closely related. When we're slowing down to become more patient with ourselves and give us space and time, we become more quiet. And what a beautiful feeling that is. There's so much simplicity in it. It's something we can forget when we're so caught up in the noise of our lives, the noise of distraction. Nowadays, there's so much that can distract us from our true spirit. There is an aliveness in quietness. A lot of people can be afraid to slow down and become quiet in their lives because they think they might be bored, or maybe you're somebody who's very social and you just love being around people and you're always go, go, go. You love completing tasks all the time. Kind of like a little squirrel is like gathering all of those nuts going into the winter, getting everything that you need to prepare yourself. However, it's so important to have a balance in life. And if we don't have that balance, that's when we can really lose ourselves. The autumn of our lives is also an amazing time to slow down and become quiet because there's so much beauty around us to enjoy and to really soak in. It's a wonderful time for reflection, and I gently challenge you to let yourself be a little bit bored if you've never been quiet before. It's okay to feel like you don't know what you're doing if you haven't really sat with yourself and slowed down to be quiet for a long time. What's going to happen over time is that stillness is going to create so much clarity within you and allow you to continue nourishing yourself through your autumn voyage. Resilience. When we intentionally choose resilience, the world we engage with is no longer a blurring background that we have to get through. Instead, we see the unique details of what we are being offered to move with, as the floating sugar maple leaf on the water's surface. It's its crimson red core, extending in brown branch-like arms, then fraying at the edges. Resilience. A lot of people think that it means pushing through and pushing yourself to the point of burnout and stress. I myself have struggled with this in my life, pushing myself way too hard and thinking that it made me resilient. However, related to much of our other discussions about the autumn of our lives, think about some of the other chapters that we've discussed, like quietness, patience. Bringing those into resilience is what makes you resilient. It takes a lot for us to do what is best for our balance and well-being. It takes a lot for us to accept that instead of trying to push through things all the time and overdo it, or on the other hand, procrastinate and choose not to do these things at all, resilience is about striking a balance. And it's also about knowing that there's some points in life where it's much more difficult than others to continue finding that balance. I like to think of this as the November of things. November is a month that a lot of people don't really like. It's pretty dreary, especially here in Northern Ontario, and it's a time where the beauty of September and October has passed, and it gets kind of gloomy. And it's kind of like our outer environment can be like our inner environment, and we can start to feel pretty gloomy inside too. And in those moments, when it's a bit more dark in our lives, again, rather than pushing through and thinking that makes us resilient, continuing to nurture ourselves and be our own light, even in the darkness. That's what resilience is. Stern. If you had only thought about sterning through these past seasons of your life, you would not have been able to land here at all. You would have missed the spring and summer leaves around you, thinking about the harvest you would reap. In Canoeing with the Seasons, several of the chapters are titled based off of different parts of a canoe. Chapter S is stern, and the stern is the back position of the canoe. The person who is in the stern is responsible for the direction of the canoe, while the person in the bow in the front is responsible for the pace and the speed. When you're in the stern, it's a metaphor for knowing what moves you need to make to take control or to be in the driver's seat, as we discuss in one of our other books. It's about knowing what you need to do to keep the canoe moving in a straight line, which is a metaphor for having forward direction and constant momentum, and to constantly find yourself in a place in life where you know that you're growing, and you know that you're growing towards a better version of yourself. This is a place of mastery in the stern. With that being said, it's not easy to get to that point. It requires your entire journey of canoeing with the seasons rather than against them. It requires you to be present in this autumn of your life, and you've been noticing what resonates with you in this video and in the book, and applying those tools to your life. While mastering the stern is the end point of the journey, the entire journey itself of every day where you're being resilient and patient and nurturing yourself, that's what's going to lead you to that place of mastery where you know that you're constantly in a state of forward momentum, and that that's made you the person you've always wanted to be. Trust. You can only distrust the world and lose your colors for so long until you become someone who has not learned to let the dead things go. So we've come full circle. From nurture to trust, we're at the end of our autumn voyage. What builds trust is letting the dead things go. When you know it's time to move on and time to move with change, moving forward with those changes rather than neglecting them, that's what builds trust over time. It can feel really difficult to know how to trust ourselves and how to love ourselves sometimes. But again, combining everything that you've learned here and turning inward and realizing that you already have all of the answers. Nobody else has the answers for you. When you trust the right answer and take action on that, that is what is going to allow you to feel so much more connected to yourself and like you're a lot more aligned with what you're doing in your life and with where you want to be. Thank you so much for joining me on this autumn voyage of Canoeing with the Seasons. We've worked our way through a lot of deep stuff here, and I'm really thankful that you've taken the time in your day to listen to me. I'm a part of Thrive Enabling Potential, and this book was published through them, and it's been such an honor to be able to share my writing gift. I myself have learned a lot from these chapters. I have had to be so resilient and patient in learning to write books. It's been a long journey, and yet when you know that you're going towards that place of mastery and that you're working with people you love, doing the things you love, it really is amazing. So keep on thriving and pay attention to what resonates with you. Gently challenge yourself to apply these things to your life. Thanks for watching.